are going to make a quick pass, as quickly as we can. I want you all to share any, yes, sir?
I have 1 minute.
You do?
Please.
We've already finished that discussion. What do you have a minute about? You're moving further away from us, so we can't see it.
I'm getting over here to the man that... What would you call that area? Yeah.
Where?
Where are you?
I'm west of
You're
Palatka.
going to have to describe it, we can hear.
We can't hear you or anything, Ken. The rest of us have put our maps away. You're west of Palatka. You want to change all that to urban reserve.
I want to get it out of ag. You want to develop, and that's where it's going to be developable. Am I correct?
There's a lot of ag in that area though, Ken. I mean,
Yeah, it's all ag.
and there's a lot of ag use there.
Give me a landmark.
Palatka,
Well, I mean, I see
down
that.
around,
I see the conservation
I
area.
think 20.
That's the purple beside it is the conservation.
There's 100 right here. There's the mill road right there.
so you're out west of that
And it, all the way wrapping around.
on 312 or whatever that road is.
This is 10 out Silver Lake.
It's pretty wet.
This is.
And it borders on, I mean, what you're looking at borders on some pretty wet area. Mike, do we have any interest in that area? Have we heard from anyone in that area?
No, I haven't heard of any, no one has contacted us, staff from.
Do we have
Anything in that
any
area.
See what you're talking about.
indication that the county is going to be looking at extending sewer and water into that area?
County has no utility, sewer and water on this side of the river,
Surrounding it.
so it would have to come from the city.
What's everybody think?
I'd have to look at what he's talking about. I don't know.
I know that area south is like
Yeah,
the Mondex area, what is that?
yeah, it looks like the Wyandottes.
Or that's further out?
It's close to Hogwaller, I think.
Like heading
I don't think it's that far
south on
down.
19?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's also north up around Peniel and west of,
I'm just confused because I see 310 here.
It's where you
He's
have
talking about the
development.
area off of 19.
what it looks like.
Just south of Walmart, isn't it?
Yep, part of it's going to go south of Walmart.
What
None of
you,
that city of Palatka?
That's
The
kind
white
of where I
is the city
live.
of Palatka, yeah.
Yes, the white is the municipality.
If you go down 19 from Walmart, if you keep on going down, you know where 310 cuts off, that's where, right before the bridge. All that land in through there and everything is bordering what we've already got that's developed. We've got it zoned ag. It's not going to develop it at 1 to 10. I don't, if you want development, you have to make it where a developer can come in and do something. If you don't want development, leave it ag.
A lot of that is already rural residential.
All the development.
A lot of it is, everything that I wanted is ag. I want to change it to that.
You want to change it to rural residential? Yeah, you
I
are.
want to change it to urban reserve. All that orange you got is urban reserve right now. So I'm just wanting to extend it out into the ag areas.
that orange is rural center.
Yeah. Which is totally different.
I don't think that's rural center, I think that's rural residential.
No, that's, yeah, that's.
That's rural
everything-
center,
that
isn't it?
area
Or
south,
urban reserve, what do you, Mike,
south of this
south of Palatka, where that great
is
big
is
310
rural
is?
residential.
What is that called? What is it?
That's rural residential. And south of that, adjacent to 19 is the Mondex area, which has
all
a
wet.
number of problems with being able to be developed. I mean,
Because the lots are all too small,
Very wet.
Very wet.
they're very wet.
yeah.
We can develop it if you change it. If you leave it as ag, it's not gonna get developed. You've got a couple subdivisions in there, it's got like 500 lots in it. All of them 25 footers.
Mondex has more than, I think, 5,000 lots
Yeah,
That-
you got a ton of lots
that
in
are
there.
undeveloped. Most of them are undevelopable.
Right.
But if you, it's an area that's next to everything that's being developed, as far as Palatka is concerned. It's zoned ag. It's not gonna develop as ag.
You got some very large parcels in there, it looks like.
Well, the Miller family owns a ton of it in through there.
I wouldn't want to change anything without knowing their intention. What's everybody else think?
We don't wanna change it because of the person that owns it. We care what they wanna do with it.
Well, that's the most important part of all this, is to
Yeah.
not take somebody's property and change it where it affects them.
Well, it's only gonna benefit them if we increase the density for them.
It won't benefit them if they're using it for intensive ag purposes, and then you take that away from them.
There's none of that in that area. We don't have to worry about that part in that area.
But they might not never want to sell it.
That's right, they may want to keep it like it is.
And if they don't wanna sell it, it stays exactly like it is, except we change it, the use. It's just like me, when I get old,
I think that's
I'm gone. My son's gonna take over.
probably 1,000, that's probably, how many acres would you imagine? That's probably
I would imagine it's a good chunk
1,000?
of dirt.
1,000 to 2,000 acres or something?
It's a big parcel, that went on 20.
I think we would need to,
I think we need the
the
owners,
staff could look into that more. We're not doing this map today, right? Or are we?
here we are. This is the overall one.
My comment on this whole thing is that, you know, we're trying to look out 20 years. And to me, when I look at what is being changed, it's relatively small for a 20-year plan or 15-year plan. And I don't know if there's a reason why Putnam County hadn't grown. And is it because it's all zoned ag? I mean, I don't know that question, and that's part of, I feel like that this whole comp plan of going through the COVID has been a big disservice to Putnam County, because this is a pretty important deal, and I think we've all tried, but I think trying to do it through Zoom, I'll be honest with you, most of the time I was trying to keep up.
Yeah.
You know, on an iPad and my cell phone. And that's the only comment I had. It seemed like to me that there should be more changes made
We
for
have a
what.
lot more open discussion tonight than we have on our.
Right.
Yeah, you can have
Together,
open
right.
discussion in Zoom.
I mean, 20 years from now, we're not gonna, we've got all this green, we're gonna call it green for ag. You got all this, that whole wall is green. And we got a little bitty circle there where we've got development. The only thing I'm doing is where that circle is, I'm expanding that circle a little bit for the possibility of future growth.
Well, the possibility still exists there for future growth with land use changes initiated by the owner. Isn't that correct?
That's,
What kind of 20-year plan is that? We're planning for 20 years, and I'm not gonna be the owner in 20 years. If we make it available to them,
Are you the owner of any of this now?
I don't believe so.
Okay, just checking.
I guess my point is that if that's the attitude that you can, anybody wants to do it, they can come in and change it later, why are we going through a comp plan?
I agree, I understand that.
I mean,
Our job, at least I thought our job was, to make it usable for the next 20 to 30 years. I'm not gonna be here 20 or 30 years from now. I can guarantee you that.
What impact would the changes we've made to the ag densities, that makes an improvement in ag land?
I tried to get it to go down to 2.5, and nobody wanted that. So now you're stuck here, and you're arguing out there in Melrose area. We're gonna change it. If you would've went to 1 to 2.5,
Then none of this would be a discussion.
it would have helped a little bit, but I think in this particular area, I mean, that's where people live. The population of Putnam County is right in that general area. So I'm taking
In
that
the
general
orange
area and just
In the orange area,
expanding it
yeah.
down. You're gonna have future growth, that's where you're gonna have it.
I'm in complete agreement with you. The only thing that I go back to is I don't want it to affect the landowners in a negative way. And I don't know if it does or not.
I mean, I don't
I can't
know.
get a straight answer from anybody.
Well,
We don't know.
Yeah.
And it's bordered so heavily by conservation land.
but it's bordered where the people are, on the other side of that border. I mean, I just keep saying common sense. I mean, I've been doing this a long time as far as development. I mean, I'm not gonna go out in the middle of Timbuktu where there's nothing and do any developing. I'm gonna do it right here where we're already got development. And the purpose of this urban reserve is supposed to be close to where the people are.
Mike, would you double check and make sure that's not, the Peniel area is not rural center? Because it's a darker orange. That right there, is that rural center? That's all urban reserve, okay.
If it's a rural center, it should be changed anyway.
Brian, I keep going back to this, because you're our consultant. In other comp plans that you've dealt with, do you feel like that we've been pretty gracious on the amount of land that we changed, or do you feel like that, in comparison?
Right, and thank you for the question. You've made substantial changes to your urban service area. You've increased that density significantly, and you've guided it towards where the county is providing water and sewer. Those are all phenomenally appropriate things to do to accommodate growth that might want to come into the county. You've expanded certain rural residential areas in the Melrose area. You've expanded some of your urban service areas a little bit. You've taken your net density or your overall density in probably, 7,000 or 8,000 acres of ag to, I don't know what that number is.
More like 400,000 acres.
400,000, I'm sorry, I was thinking of something else. 400,000 acres, and you've doubled the density available on that land. You have more land than even the high projections, because they're not that high. Coming out of that university somewhere in Central Florida, you got more land than you'll need. You certainly can accommodate all the growth that's going to be coming to you. But you've done some appropriate things. You've directed it. You've directed it to where you want to see growth. You directed it to where the county has made a substantial financial investment in water and sewer, and they are not getting a return on that investment, or they're not getting a substantial return on that investment because you don't have too many hookups in. So, you're doing the right thing there. You also anticipate growth coming from three other areas, I apologize, 3 other areas. We've heard the north US 17, adjacent to Clay County.
It's an area we may want to look at on the map, too. Go ahead.
Because, well, right, because of the First Coast Expressway, I still call it the Outer Beltway, I can't help myself, coming within a few dozen miles or so from that spot. You know, you recognize that you're taking, the Florida Department of Transportation is completing the expansion of 20. And, you know, you're already seeing growth coming out of Alachua County in the Melrose area. You know, you've experienced it, talked about it. And you anticipate there may be some more of it coming from that direction. What was our third planning area, Mike?
What?
Down 17.
What? South 17. I thought it was, but I.
South 17.
South 17. Probably a little further down the road than some of them. You know, you have your ferneries that are kind of turning over and looking at other land uses into the future. And you've provided for that in the comprehensive plan. You've provided that by 2000, we're going to get into that in just a minute, but by 2027, you will have done studies, corridor studies on those areas at an appropriate time when you start to see that there may be some development pressure coming. It allows you to look at those areas and have a basis for making a determination that you should make something higher density or intensity. You have that basis in the urban service area because that's where your water and sewer is. You have that basis over in the Melrose, over in Northwest, the Melrose area, Northwest area, because you're seeing that. You've cut it back a little bit, and I think appropriately so, but you're seeing development pressure there. You're seeing the people coming in from Alachua County. So I think that you have made substantial strides. The comprehensive plan puts you in a much better place than you were. I think you, by maintaining a 1 to 10 in your ag, with a possibility for going down to 1 to 5, you're keeping the promise. You're keeping the promise that, you know, we heard and you expressed to us, and you even changed the kind of the preamble to the comprehensive plan about keeping a rural character. So you do that by concentrating development opportunities, as you've done. You do that by maintaining the rural nature in the remainder of your county, by allowing people the current property rights they have, and in fact increasing those property rights because you've, many cases in Ag 2 have gone down to a higher density. So overall, I feel pretty good about where you are today. It doesn't mean that you can't make these little changes here and there. You know, you're free to do whatever you want to do, but I think you have a sound basis, a logical basis for doing what you've done thus far.
Yeah, we said in the preamble, the rural, agrarian, and natural aspects of the county are what we want to maintain.
Right. It's in your first goal. It now says supports the rural and agrarian nature of the county while providing a desired lifestyle for county residents. And you're keeping that promise. Now, if you'd gone much lower in your ag areas as far, or much higher in density, I think you begin to compromise that. But I think you've kind of split the difference. I think you've done a pretty darn good job of doing what the county needs to do and maintaining those things that make Putnam County, Putnam County.
Well, based on what I was asking, am I wrong in your opinion about extending the urban area out?
I would never recommend extending the urban service area in that section between what is the city of Palatka and the urban reserve to the south and the conservation. First of all, you don't want your urban services right up against, urban service area up against your conservation, number one. Number two, you know, Mike and I have had this discussion, and I said, Mike, what's going on down here? Is this really happening? No, not much happening down here. I said, why don't we change it back? Because people will scream. Okay, I take that, so we're gonna leave it. Unless you tell us to do it, we're gonna leave it. But if I had my druthers as a professional planner, no. There might be some rural residential in this, but I would not suggest urban reserve. First of all, the city's never extended water and sewer down there.
No.
I mean, the great solution to
That was my next question.
the great solution to what happens with regard to what happens around Palatka is for the city and the county to get together
Cooperative
and
work,
develop a urban service delivery area It's been tried 3 times. I've tried it 3 times when I was at Northeast Florida Regional Council. Failed every time. Because they sat in a room together one time.
They don't,
They don't play well together.
all they do is beat each other to death.
So, and it's never gonna happen. And I gotta tell you, I work in places in Alachua County, I work in High Springs, I work in Archer. You know, the urban service, the annexation policy in High Springs as an example, is nearly that of Palaca. And therefore, you have huge enclaves in the middle of High Springs, as an example. So, the real answer is the Florida legislature needs to change the annexation laws in order to
Right.
actually put some teeth in them. Because I guarantee you that those annexations in the city of Palaca, my other client, those annexations in High Springs do
Right.
not meet the statutory requirements. But what happens in Florida, so long as nobody challenges within 30 days or 60 days, I forget which one it is, it doesn't matter whether it followed the statute or not. It's done. So, now, will the legislature ever touch annexation? No, because either they'll have 67 counties mad at them, or they'll have 412 municipalities
Municipalities,
mad
yeah.
at them. So, they're not gonna go there. All right, I'm not running for office.
No, I mean, that's what,
That's
that's what
exactly
you're
what
hired
we
for.
needed you to say, or well, this what we want to hear is, would we be well served, talking about urban reserve, looking at the US 17 corridor north, coming down from Clay County, making that urban reserve, or are we better left with it left alone?
I'll give you my opinion. As a planner, I would feel much better if we really took a look at how we wanted the juxtaposition of land uses with densities, intensities in that area.
With the counties?
I think putting it as an urban reserve is a bit of a Band-Aid. Part of it is, you know, you don't reach nirvana in your urban reserve without water and sewer. That's the only way you.
All right, that's a transitional area.
Kind of, I call it nirvana, but the full potential of what urban reserve is all about. So Mike may have a different opinion, and you know, Mike and I have worked together so long, we oftentimes have different opinions, which is fine. I like that.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You say without water and sewer. That's not the way it's written. It's water or and or sewer. It's very easy for me, let's say I'm a developer. I'm going back 20 years. If I wanted to come in there and develop this area with the requirement that I needed water, I can do water very inexpensively.
You can do it inexpensively, that's assuming you can get a consumptive use permit from the St. Johns River Water Management District
Right.
for a community scale water distribution, well and water distribution system.
And that's what we're requiring in some areas that don't have public sewer and water.
Right.
That they have that capability at a certain density level.
But to get to the highest density, which is what you were saying,
You need
Nirvana.
you would need
Yeah,
both to
you
get to
gotta
the
have the
highest
Highest
density.
density, we gotta have water and sewer.
Right.
But let's say I've got 10 acres. Let's say I just got 10 acres or 20 acres, small, something small. And I wanna put, say, 2 units an acre. I can do that quite easily
With water.
with the water. And there's not gonna be a problem for 20 or even 40 houses. They're gonna give me that permit.
It depends on whether you do a PUD for a development or you do individual parcels of land. Now, if you do individual parcels of land that are not connected through a PUD, an actual development, then you can get away with that. But if you're going to do a PUD, which is what you probably would be required for a 10-acre development, you're going to have to provide that water and sewer in order to get that. 9 chances out of 10.
Why would I need to do a PUD to do a 10-acre piece?
Because you're developing land as a development. You're doing a subdivision development.
A It's no problem.
You may not have to do the PUD zoning, but you
No, I
definitely
just
have to
go
do
in.
the go through
I
a
just go in.
But you're
subdivision.
gonna have to do subdivision.
I go in and do the subdivision, and I do half-acre lots, and I sell the 20 houses or 40 houses. That is what Putnam County needs. We don't have that.
Can you
We
get a
build-
sewage permit on those smaller lots? Can you get septic tank permits on those smaller lots from the state?
I can get a septic tank permit, I believe, on the half-acre, as long as I have,
If you're providing
as
water.
long as I
If you
have
have
water.
If you have the water.
Well,
You have the water and you have if the soil is conducive and everything else. I mean, there's a lot that goes into a septic tank permit.
Yeah.
I think we're getting a little far afield here. Brian, are you saying basically your recommendation would be leave 17 North alone?
My recommendation, and I'm the author of this recommendation, is to leave US 17 alone at this point in time.
And then down the road, let the county negotiate with Clay County and see if we can be contiguous and compatible?
Or spend some really quality time thinking about what you want that part of Putnam County
yeah,
to
the
look like in the
cornerstone.
future. I think a rush to judgment, I think we've thoughtfully done these other areas. We recognize that there may be growth coming in these corridors from those three compass points. I think the comprehensive plan does a good job in saying, hey, we sort of know this is coming, and we're going to plan for it, because we're thoughtful people. I think you've done what you should do.
Okay.
Okay.
I can go along with that. And I think I know that the Planning Commission has been talking about that First Coast Parkway, is that what it's called?
First Coast Expressway.
First Coast Expressway, for at least 10 years.
But it's happening now.
It's happening
It's
now.
happening.
It's finally happening.
Yeah.
But we also have to be realistic that there's a whole lot of land between the Putnam-Clay County line and where that's going to be that is undeveloped.
Well, and not only that, you've got some very large projects up there. The old Governor's Park DRI has been bought by the Park Group, and that's the one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
So there is a lot of absorptive capacity in Putnam County and closer in proximity to the First Coast Outer Expressway. You've got all of the Reinhold Corporation holdings in and around Penny Farms with an interchange 2.1 miles away. So there's a tremendous amount of absorptive capacity. You have a county government in Clay County who is phenomenally pro-growth. You have a local government in Clay County who has done advanced bonding and gone into significant debt to build roads to accommodate that growth.
so basically, what they're doing is they're gonna draw all the growth from anything that would come into Putnam County, they're gonna take it. They're gonna get
They're
it.
going to get it first.
They're gonna get it, or
So
people from Putnam's gonna move there because it's a growing area, they won't live around that type thing.
Whether they draw people away from you or not, St. Johns County is already doing that to an extent. You know, you
That's
have,
true.
you have.
Lake County is too.
You have a flight problem within the county. But you've taken some steps here, people.
Yeah.
To retain and attract. And you're thoughtfully thinking about, there's not going to be such growth pressure on North Putnam County by the time this whole comp plan is a faded memory, and we're here again, I won't be here, we're here again next time thinking about this. You're not going to see a tremendous amount of growth. There might be some speculation. And I know landowners would rather have something, a color rather than green on their map to sell to a speculator. But the fact of the matter is, if growth comes and you accommodate it logically, there's a reasonable expectation, and it doesn't violate the other tenets of your comprehensive plan, that I can get a land use change if I meet certain conditions. You know, your staff does the analysis. Is it compatible? Does it meet the goals, objectives, and policies of your comprehensive plan? And so I don't think you lose anything in the foreseeable future if you don't do something on North 17 at this juncture. I don't think you miss or lose any opportunities as a county And I think you retain the right to do it right.
Okay. Folks, are we ready to put the map to bed and move on with the comp plan?
Yes.
I promise not to come up again.
No, we need to think. Okay,
Ready, Madam Chair?
just about as ready as I'm ever gonna be.
Yes, ma'am. I think this can be extraordinarily quick. Conferred with Mike to make sure my memory was not failing, and he confirmed my memory is failing, but I happen to be correct on this particular one. That the only substantive changes that we have made since the last time you saw this and the time before that is in future land use. And they're only substantive because they change a few words. First of all,
Yeah, let's go through future land use, because I know Ari's got some comments, and does anybody else?
well, if I can, let me go through the three changes,
Okay, and then we'll
and
backtrack.
then I'm yours to answer questions.
Okay, if you can give us a page number.
Well, the first one doesn't have a page number. The first one is an overall concept.
Okay.
You directed me to change the language with regard to compliance with best management practices to strongly encourage.
Right.
I did that, and I think I did it for the last meeting, and I confess to you that I probably had missed one or two. I had missed one. And if you ask me which one it was, you could drive spikes under my nails. I can't remember, because there's so many of them.
But you fixed it now.
So I fixed it.
Yeah.
So that's one change. The second change are the corridor studies, as I mentioned.
What page are we
And
on?
that language can be found, I had dog-eared that page. That language can be found on page, I apologize, Madam Chair.
Now, where are we at now on
He's looking for it.
future land? Okay,
22.
on future land.
Look on page
Page
22.
22.
22? Yes, there it is, I'm sorry. On page 22. The discussion at the last meeting was the timing of these plans, and we had one going first and one going second. And I think I was directed, at least my notes reflected, I was directed to put an out year and give county government the flexibility of doing in whatever order they deemed most appropriate, depending on what they saw on the ground. So by 2027, that they need to have done these three corridor studies, and again, in those three areas being North 17, South 17, and West 20.
Gotcha.
So that is a change. And then finally,
It's fair enough.
on page 37, if you recall, and this is part of, this is my fault for not having reconciled it sooner, changed language in the ag to allow for an increase in density from 1 to 10 to 1 to 5, and the wording there is where a parcel abuts and directly accesses a paved road. The language in, it's the same kind of a standard, in
Did you say 37?
37.
37.
I think I got that on my 37.
No, that's, hang on, I was giving you the example of agriculture. On 37 is the, well, hopefully I got the same version, same one that Nancy sent out.
This is
Under-
still agriculture, but it's a residential development.
It's under rural residential.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, okay, good. So,
That's
rural
right.
residential, the language read, if a development directly accesses a paved road. So I am recommending as kind of a floor change that to parallel the language with what is in agriculture. The standard should not be development, it should be parcel. And to make it parallel and consistent with that in ag, is it should abut and directly access a paved road. So that would be the change in B, and also the first bullet under B.
Okay, and you're going to make those changes for the final?
That is a maximum of 2 dwellings per acre?
No,
1 per 2.5.
1 per 2.5.
Well, that ain't what it says in
That's
the.
not what it says.
You had those.
1 dwelling
yeah.
per 2.5 acres.
But you got down under,
Allows,
In the
that's the base
terminology.
density, if I may.
Oh, okay, up there, I got you.
Where you,
Up above it, under B, he's got B, and then he starts his red, it's black, and then it's changes to 2.5.
okay, and that's going to be a bullet where it says property shall be eligible for densities up to a maximum of 2 dwellings. Okay, I got you. It's just hard to read sometimes with the ads and the
Yes, ma'am.
distractions, not deletions.
What I will be happy to do is provide for you for your final meeting, what may be your final meeting,
exactly what I'm.
the strike-through and underline as well as a clean copy.
I think we would all like that.
What's that?
I think we would all like that.
I'm more than happy to do that.
The county commission has requested underline, the.
Oh, no, ma'am. I'm
Right.
only for,
But I think they would also benefit from a clean copy because.
yes, ma'am.
And that would be good.
Yeah, at this point in time, because we've been making changes kind of constantly as we went along, I didn't think it was probably appropriate at that point. I think we're to the point now.
I think we are.
And then going forward, because you've done the heavy lifting, I don't expect the county commission to go through the same number of changes. They may change something, they may change their minds. As you said, they may say you missed the mark and you all go start over again. They certainly have all of those options available to them, and that's their prerogative. But my guess is that their changes will be important, first of all, obviously, but they may be more limited in scope, and therefore having a clean copy and the strike-through and underline is probably appropriate for them right out of the box. Once it leaves
Right.
your auspices, absolutely.
Can I ask you a question before we get going off of 37? As I read this, it says, it's on a paved road, we have central water, and we're not in a flood zone, we can have 2 units per acre.
Right.
That's right.
In rural
I
residential.
thought that's what,
Microphone.
residential is less than what I was looking for. I mean, isn't that exactly what I said earlier?
We can't hear you, Mr. Schwing.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
I mean, isn't that exactly what I said earlier, where we have, I get 20 acres, and I get 2 units per acre with the water? I mean,
If you're on a paved road and you don't have flood zone, then you would
well, we're not gonna build in a flood zone, so that's
be able to
a
do a
given.
subdivision.
And as far as a paved road, we're gonna have a paved road. So, that's exactly what I said. And that's rural residential as opposed to, the urban reserve is supposedly a notch better than that. Is that not correct?
Yeah, the argument wasn't what you could or couldn't have, although we had that discussion. The argument was the location and timing of
Where you could have it.
that desire. Yes, you certainly in
If
urban
we're-
reserve can achieve higher densities, intensities.
If we're gonna encourage the density and the development, we need to get away from the ag. That was my point.
Again,
We just had that discussion, Ken. We closed that discussion on the map and what we were going to change on the map designators. So this is just language that he's changed in the comp plan as per our recommendations. This is not on, this has nothing to do with the designators on the map.
It does.
The maps, we finished the map, Ken. The map is in the envelope.
Mine is sitting on my desk right here.
Well, we have finished that discussion.
But if it doesn't make sense to me, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting stupid in my old age. We want development, and this gives us, there's a development right there on exactly what I said. The only thing is, you want to keep everything ag, but we can't do it in ag. We can do it in 2 notches below.
Do we have that chart that I had to ask for? I don't think I got it in an email, but what we were going from in intensity wise or from ag to rural?
Yeah, the
residential?
changes in the land
I
designators.
know we have about 9,000 acres, but what, besides the blanket taking
We
away
had
ag
one.
too?
I think we've
But that's
changed that
changed
today
now.
considerably.
Yeah.
The to and from,
Oh,
how many acres are going from?
Um,
And again, those numbers have changed as of
I
tonight.
can tell you when we walked in here,
we have about 9,000, right?
what the, I mean, total changes, cumulative changes, if you took all the areas, added them all, subtract them all together, we were going to add 1,900, a little over 1,900 acres of urban service and be added, new. We were going to subtract 762 acres of Ag 1. We were going to subtract 3,000 acres of Ag 2. We were going to add 2,300 acres of rural residential. And we were going to drop 160 acres of industrial and add 304 acres of rural center. That was the
When we walked
cumulative
in the door.
when we walked
I
in.
know we canceled out about 2,000 of those acres up on
rural.
that.
Yeah,
rural
well,
residential.
Melrose area, yeah.
But you also added
And most of
well
that
over
was,
1,000 of urban service.
most of that was rural residential
Yeah.
and ag. Yeah, So,
Well, the urban service is all where we got water and sewer, correct? I mean, we're not doing anything urban service unless we have what we need to do to develop the urban service area.
Correct.
Right.
Now, the rest of the residential construction that you want to have, the urban service area is primarily for multifamily. I mean, that's the biggest change you're going to have in that.
Could be, doesn't have to be.
No, it doesn't have to be, but it probably will be. It's hard to get 24 units on an acre of ground if you're not multifamily.
Well, somebody might not want 24 units on an acre that they own. They may just want one.
Well, I understand that, but we made it,
The opportunity exists.
we increased, that's what we put the density at. All right? So we take ag, and we go from ag 1 and ag 2, and we make it just plain ag now, and we go from 1 to 20 to 1 to 10 for everything. And if you got a paved road, you want to go to 1 to 5.
Right.
All right? Now, what about all the rest of these people that want to build a house? They're not going to go buy 10 acres and build a house. Most people in Putnam County aren't going to do that. There's going to be some people that got a horse or two that's got some money. They'll go out and they can buy the 10 acres or 20 acres and have their horses. We're not dealing with the development we already have. It's there. It's in that little circle up there. We want to increase the density. We want some people to build a house outside of that little circle. So if you don't change the ag to something that where you can use it, I can guarantee you, if it's zoned ag out there, they're not going to build in the area contingent to where we already got the urban reserve. They're not going to buy 10 acres to build a house.
Wasn't it changed to 5 acres?
If it's contiguous with a hard road, yes. If it abuts a paved road, you can be 5 acres in ag, 1 per 5.
But George has got 20 acres of ground. He don't want to be an attorney no more. He wants to go ahead and develop some houses. Now, under ag, he can put 2 out there. And if it was anything else, we could put 40 out there.
But he can change it. He has the opportunity
He
to
has
come
the
in here and go for a zoning change.
Yeah.
That's,
land use
seriously, I mean,
change,
that's
yeah.
what,
If we're zoned ag, can we change it to get 40 units?
If you're zoned ag,
future land use ag,
Future land use ag, can I come in and say I want to build 40 units on it?
not without water and
you have to do
sewer.
a subdivision, and you
But
probably
you're-
you'd have to change the future land use because the density would.
Thank you, that's what I
Wouldn't
just said.
allow.
We need to change the future land use.
We don't need to do it speculatively, Ken. We need to let on that situation, we need to let the property owner do it.
We're here to make it for the county, for the future use.
I think there's probably a good bit in the rural residential already that's
Vacant.
unused that could be developed that, you know,
I guess what I'm hearing is that Brian does this for a living. He does it for many places. And he just kind of told us that what we're changing is the correct way to do it, so.
But we have zero growth in Putnam County for the last 20 years. We're not doing something right.
Made substantial
Doing
changes.
Jobs. I mean,
We don't have,
You ain't got school and you don't have the job.
we don't have school, well, we were having a conversation earlier.
That's a
That's the two things
whole
that I
week
said.
of discussion.
We don't
And
have,
that's outside the bounds of the control of the comp plan. The comp plan can only undergird everything that has to happen. We're just one piece of it. You've got the industrial piece of it, you've got the commercial piece of it that we don't have. You've got quality education. We're budding just St. Johns County, which is the #1 school system in the state.
yeah, we're 67, we're close.
We're not going to get families to move here with that situation. Things are going to happen, they're going to have to be coordinated before we're ready to do this.
Our families are moving from here to somewhere else.
That's right, because, for many reasons. But like Ryan has said, we have made a lot of changes. We've increased the capacity for residential in Putnam County enormously through the changes we've made.
Changing that ag from Ag 2 to Ag 1 didn't increase anything for this county. Nothing. Did absolutely nothing. It's not going to make any difference for somebody wanting to build houses, period.
Well, it gives the property owner, #1, it gives the property owner greater value that they need to be able to borrow money for farm use. It quadruples the density capacity in some areas. When you look at the number of, how many 400,000 acres of ag?
Yeah,
You know, we've just added 1.2 million dwelling possibilities. That's not minor, that's major. We've added the urban reserve, we've amended rural residential, we've changed all of the densities to allow for greater growth. All we can do is provide that platform. We can't build it, we can't buy it, we can't grow it.
But you're saying we're not going to change that platform.
We've already changed that platform,
Platform has
Ken.
been changed.
All right,
We've changed it
All right.
substantially.
the dead horse is done, I quit.
We're avoiding help, Ken,
Go ahead.
but we've already made these changes.
Let's move on.
We have made changes, and I'm telling you, we haven't changed anything. This
Tom?
county,
You had a comment?
Let's move on to getting to our plan, please.
Yeah, let's move on.
I said,
Eight
go
months
ahead,
of
I
this
quit.
prior.
You kept going. Don't get me started.
I don't want to.
And those were the three things that you had in the land use area.
Madam Chair, those are the three things in the land use area, and there were no substantive changes made in any of the other elements since you've seen it. I have corrected a couple cross-references and references to state statutes and state administrative code, but that has really been the extent of it. There's nothing substantive in those changes, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have, yeah,
I do
Aaron?
have a couple, just.
Tell us the
on
page number.
Page 11. And I know this was a concern from Joel a while back, and policy A145, roads in new residential subdivisions shall be paved or built with impervious material approved by the county public works director. Who decides if it's gotta be paved, or is it a matter of how many lots it is? I'm just need to know that answer. Is it the
my
size of the
my
lots?
interpretation is it would be, if the Director of Public Works agrees and signs off on whatever that surface is, then it would not have to be paved. If he doesn't, it will have to be paved. That's my interpretation of that. Is that,
That's giving the Director of Public Works quite a bit of,
I mean, he comes and goes.
it's coming up.
I don't think that's a good idea.
I was thinking it would be better if it was, based on, you know, the lot size of the, if you're doing 5-acre lots, then I can't see forcing somebody to pave
Right.
the roads with pavement, but if you're doing half-acre lots,
Absolutely.
paved road in there.
This, I believe, was offered as kind of a compromise between, I mean, my recommendation professionally is that the road should be paved.
Me too.
Road should be paved because of the amount of money that the county is spending on
Right to
maintaining
pave.
dirt roads, and your dirt to pavement program is making slow headway, but it's making some headway.
Yeah, it's always
And
slow.
this county cannot afford any dirt road subdivisions anymore. That's
Right.
both a planning and a fiscal recommendation. This was kind of a way to see if there was an opportunity that under certain circumstances, with certain material types, that there might be opportunities to go the other way. You tell me, do you want them to be back to pave, and I'll do it in a heartbeat.
I'm the one who came up with the pervious surface.
Right.
I think it does give you better absorption of water. It minimizes the need for retention ponds. And it might give a developer a little bit of an edge. It's probably not going to be a cost advantage that much, is it, Joel?
I just think that they ought to be paved. I mean, my opinion is if we're trying to improve the county, if somebody puts a subdivision in, the roads need to be paved, and whether they have ditches or curb and gutter, depending on the subdivision. I mean, you don't look at surrounding counties and see a whole lot of any subdivisions going in that's not paved roads. And that's just a pet peeve of mine.
The only one,
I don't accede to that pet peeve.
the only ones you'll find it are, like what you said earlier, you get a 5-acre subdivision, where you have lots that are 5 acres.
I just think a 5-acre subdivision, if they're building a subdivision, they need to be paved roads, that's my opinion.
Well, those people, they don't want the paved road. They want to be on the dirt road, and that,
But they want the county to come maintain their road, even though it's not paved, so they don't want to pave for the pavement going down the road. Pavement is expensive, but it's not that expensive. But it's just, I think
I just
that's
don't
part
like
of the problem with Putnam County now, is there's this
I'm fine with just saying shall be
little
paved.
dirt roads, and
Right now, it says shall be paved, correct, Mike? New
right now, a
subdivision?
subdivision is required to have paved roads.
Let's keep it.
That's the
Any
way
new
we
one
want
that
it.
I'll
comes in.
hush and take that out anywhere, because there are a couple places that we put pervious surfaces in. Thank you, Aaron.
I mean, I don't know if exceptions can be made if it's
You've done good.
100-acre lots or something. Nobody's going to do that anyway. So,
They're going to be able to afford anything.
my next question, I've got so many notes that I've scratched on here, page 27, I think. No, page 28. Top quarter of the page, where A.194 is scratched out at the end, should that be a 3 instead of a 2, or am I just not computing this?
Where are we? On 28?
Page 28, the top part of the page, where it says residential density will not, blah, 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 between 2 units per acre and 9. I think in another section of this, you could have, I think it, because it says exceeding, I think it should say 3, not 2. But I could be just losing it.
Okay, exceeding has been taken out.
that whole, the 8.194 has been taken out.
Not the whole thing.
C, D, I mean, it's just that, it's been stricken, that way I read it.
residential density between 2 dwelling units per acre and 9 dwelling units per acre shall require community scale potable water and sanitary and/or consistent with applicable state law. Residential
There was
density,
some contradiction in this, and I'm trying to find it now.
residential density 10 to 24,
Right, this is our highest density use.
Right.
Trying to find.
it's going to be so much easier to read a clean copy.
I read it like 5 times, but now I don't know what I was questioning on that, so forget it.
I don't think you can get 9 acres, can you get 9 dwelling on an acre with
Yeah, that doesn't make
this
sense.
water? That doesn't sound possible.
Yeah.
No, because you couldn't put septic in there. You've got a half an acre for septic, don't you?
Yeah, if you only provide water, the best you can hope for is 2 units per acre.
Then that should require that should require both sanitary sewer and potable water.
Between 2, yeah.
That starts at 10 units.
No, if you can't put a septic tank, you
The way
can't
it
put
reads
6
there, I
septic
mean.
tanks.
Yeah, no, it's written wrong, basically.
Written wrong.
Both of everything in that paragraph should be water and sewer.
And
Exactly, everything
over 3 or over should have water and sewer.
exceeding
That
3,
is correct.
Yes.
exceeding 3 units per acre shall require potable water and sewer. Right, and just leave that 9 to 24 out.
Yeah, I don't, because that would be
Just starting with residential density,
3 and above, 3 units and
Yeah.
above.
yep. Good catch.
Very good catch. That would have been bad.
Like I say, it's so hard to read these with the strikeouts and the,
I think the rest of them that I have.
Well, if I might, Madam
yes, sir.
Chair, go back up, though, the opening paragraph, the opening sentence in section C is in order to provide for generally higher densities. The base allowance is up to 4. And you then start your next iteration at 3. I'm gonna have to figure this out with Mike. I don't disagree with you that it's confusing.
Needs a clarification, put that down.
Well, in this,
I had a good argument, then I confused myself, so.
and I remember working on this article, this section.
It looks like it's a lot more writing than what needs to be there.
Yeah, it does. I like just exceeding 3 units per acre shall require.
Mike and I'll put our heads together, we'll bring it back to you at the next meeting, appropriately done, hopefully.
Okay, we might do a meeting, well, we'll do whatever we have to do. Okay. Anyone else have something to clarify, amend, append, depend, extend, future land use area?
No, that was a good catch.
We did keep the 24 units, the max there in urban service.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yes,
All right.
But only 2 if you don't have central water.
right.
That's all I have.
And they took out the Walmart PUD.
Are we done with future land use?
Well, does everybody feel comfortable with future land use at this point?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And there were no other changes from Brian, right, on the other ones?
I have nothing else to present on the other elements, ma'am.
Okay, and one of the things that we know is we're still waiting on that water services plan from Public Works. I think Jim and Mike are going to be working on that tomorrow.
Yeah, what I need is the data. once I get the data, developing the plan that already has a quasi-template for it that needs to be filled in with data, it won't take long at all.
And if necessary, well, go ahead and, yeah, we need the data for sure. And there was one other thing you getting with Brian Bergen.
Yes, ma'am.
And anything, the chamber, Brian Bergen has asked to let his members look at the economic development element, and they will get back to Brian Teeple soon, right?
They said give them a couple, 3 days, so
Okay.
I don't know what that means, ma'am.
It depends on what part of the county you're speaking of. You know, it has different interpretations. Okay. How does everybody feel about where we are with the comp plan? Where do you think we are in relationship to wrapping it up, or are we still in drawing board working stage?
As for me, I feel like we're at the wrap-up stage.
I would say the
Maybe
same.
after one more,
With the few changes that are going to be made, I don't see anything else we have to go back on and move
Okay.
on.
Joe, how do you feel?
I feel good with all of it.
Aaron, you're, how about it, Joseph?
I am good. Good. I think we're all
Stanley?
good.
Ken?
We're good over here.
Okay. What's your time projection on getting those few things done? I know we're at the mercy of Public Works.
Mapping issues will take me a couple days, word issues will take me an hour. So it's really the data, and then probably 4 hours or 5 hours to take that data and turn it into a plan.
For the,
Public, the water plan.
yeah, that falls under that one little element that we neither one of us can put our tongues on right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If you want to go ahead and get that email to us within 2 weeks? Is that reasonable?
No, I want to do that by about this time next week.
Okay, that's fine. If you want to get it to us next Wednesday, that's fine. I'm willing to give you 2 weeks.
I understand. Take
Okay.
it.
All right.
I'm trying to keep the flight pattern to the point where
He wants to land.
You want to land that plane, and I
I'm
understand.
landing a couple other planes simultaneously.
We've built the plane while we were flying it, so
But we did.
that's always the case. That would be good. Is everybody comfortable at that point? One of the things that I want to do once I get the final is I want to do a brief executive summary. And I'll do a letter, a cover letter from me and us to the Board of County Commissioners. And at that point, I'm willing to personally sit down with each one individually and introduce what we've done to them, hand it to them and give them a chance to chew on it, and ask that they set a workshop sometime in November when we, and I include Mr. Teeple and Mr. Brown and probably Mr. Troyana in that we, can go before them and answer any questions that they may have, take any comments they may have, bring them back to this board that isn't here maybe, and then get a finalized version to them, probably not with red line. They've asked for red line. And then have a final vote from us or them to transmit to the state, depending on whether they send it back to us and say, trash it. We're replacing all of you in January. One of the things I will be talking with the chairman of the county commission about is that the 4 members of this board that are at large are up for reappointment in January. we're at,
Because I'm not sure if I am or not.
we don't know who we are. I think you're one of us. My request, if they choose to keep me on this board, is that we keep this board intact. We have a vacancy, but I'd like to keep this board intact because the Land Development Code is sitting on the drawing board, and it will be ours, this board's responsibility come the first of the year. And that's going to be a detailed process that we're going to have to go through. But a lot of it is going to be affected by the things we're doing here. So, with that being said, are you all comfortable with that concept? Ken?
What was the concept? Wait till January?
No.
Oh.
What I just described of us,
Yeah, but you got us all the way to January. I was good
well,
till January.
yeah, but we've got a lot, are you all comfortable with going forward with what I outlined?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
I am.
Absolutely.
In favor, go ahead.
Okay, George, you have any comments?
Well, I do have one question for you. I hate to drag something else up that I think is settled, but I got contacted recently by Kurt Williams, who's the Assistant Director of Government and Community Affairs for the Florida Farm Bureau Federation. I believe it was at the behest of Mr. Kramer. And he wanted to know if I wanted to further discuss with him the agricultural BMPs that we talked to and how the process works through whatever that long acronym is that I just read off. I think that issue's settled, is it not? Did we not?
We strongly encourage them to use the BMP.
Right.
We changed it, that not mandate it,
The
but,
county's not gonna have a
Okay.
obligation to report
Right.
them.
I don't just want to leave him hanging. If it's all right, I'll just contact him and let him give me the spill and say that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I don't think you let somebody with that kind of title dangle in the breeze. But I think you can assure him that on behalf of the Planning Commission, that we have thoroughly addressed the issue of BMPs with the agricultural elements, and that we have stepped our language down from what essentially was a mandate to a recommendation that is up to the landowner to decide. And if he has any other questions, I'm sure he'll let Mr. Kramer know.
Well, I could turn him over to someone else, or I can deal with him myself. I'm happy to do so. It's up to you.
Oh, George.
I figured.
That's why you're getting the big bucks, George.
You know, the only thing I could suggest is if you could work your father-in-law into making that phone call for us, it could be interesting to watch.
Okay.
We've been before this board so many times.
But,
I think you should let Mr. Asbury handle that. No, you can do it, George.
George, you know this, and we certainly trust you.
I'll get them all together and consult with them first, and I'll make a call.
Yeah,
If I can get them all back from the beach.
yeah, that's not going to be easy,
Yeah.
but,
Can I make a comment? Since I'm on the Putnam St. John's Farm Bureau Board,
please do, sir.
and when Mr. Kramer and Mike Brown, Jeb Smith's on the board with me, Jared Newbold used to be, and they were very uncomfortable with Mr. Kramer's comments and stuff. And Jared Newbold got in touch with me first, and then I called Jeb to find out more about the meeting. And then I says, I'm on the planning committee. We're trying to do everything. South Putnam is different than North Putnam, than West Putnam, and East Palaca. It's all different. And I says, well, I represent you guys in South Putnam. I says, I know what you guys want. As best as I can do it, I'm going to get that. But Mr. Kramer was talking about up north, but he had no consideration of South Putnam or West Putnam or anything. He just kept talking about North Putnam. Yeah. So the Putnam St. Johns County Board has never talked about anything pertaining to Mr. Kramer. He has not been in touch with our board.
And you're talking about the Farm Bureau.
Yeah, Farm Bureau. Now, Mr. Kramer did talked, I was gonna bring that up, but George already did. He must have been talking to somebody at the state office, which nobody at the state office talked to us, which they're supposed to, but nobody, our field rep has not said anything at any of the board meetings, and I haven't missed a board meeting since the COVID thing.
All I can tell you is he's the Assistant Director of Government and Community Affairs.
What was this guy's name?
Kurt Williams.
I don't know him. There's another one that I know, but not him. I know the director, and I can't think of his name, but.
Well, I guess the bottom line is, in the end, you guys have got the Farm Bureau represented all over the county.
Yeah.
One way or the other. But I'll give him a call and take care of it.
Yeah, well, we talked about that, and we just said we recommend best management practices. Because the ones in South Putnam were kind of leery about that too when they heard about mandates, so.
Well, I mean, basically, we don't have the manpower to enforce.
No.
Right, and we don't have,
Reporting all these people, that's what the water management does, that's what the other, yeah.
But being a former farmer, I can tell you, you're gonna do your best management
Yeah,
practices,
or
because
you're
you're not
gonna
gonna throw fertilizer away like you did years ago. It's too expensive, chemicals are too expensive, and the profit margin is very tight if you don't do best management practices, so.
thank you, Joy.
Okay, thank you.
We have the minutes from the September 9th meeting. Does anyone have any corrections, additions, or deletions? I don't see in the minutes any mention of Mr. Froelich's comments that were made as a result of Mr. Kramer's contacting, talking with George. I feel like some mention of that needs to be in the minutes, that Mr. Froelich, being a member of the Farm Bureau Board, said some of the things he's just said tonight. What does everybody else think?
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was part of the
Yeah, if it's
conversation,
part of-
it should.
Yeah. Mary and Nancy, can you go back to the tape and find that and get that appropriately in the minutes as an addition to the minutes from September 9th?
Did you say the same things then as you did just now?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
A little more detailed, I think.
Yeah, a little bit more emphasis. But that's okay, I think it was something we needed to hear. Anything else with the additions, deletions, corrections, changes, amendments to the minutes? Okay.
Could we hold off on approving them until we get them amended, or?
Nancy, you said go ahead and note the amendment today.
You want this?
Your procedure should be.
Oh, I thought they leave them all right here at the table.
As amended.
Yeah, but she just went on.
I believe
Oh,
that
she didn't,
you
she got them.
Yeah.
want to correct me. And you can sign and approve the minutes tonight. We'll correct, make the corrections noted in next month, in tonight's recording.
So tonight's minutes will reflect the changes we make to the minutes from September 9th.
Correct, that's what you said, but what I would think that you probably need to either say, do a verbatim for that portion and put it in the minutes, because what you've said is to go back and look at the minutes.
Capture that,
And capture what?
capture the essence of what Mr. Froelich said.
I would say that if you're going to do that,
Better wait.
do a verbatim for that portion of it and be done with it. Put it in the minutes for next month and you have it.
Okay?
That's my suggestion on that.
If you have and I'm not trying to dispel the way you said it, to capture the essence, then the commission hasn't had the opportunity to look at exactly what's in the minutes,
think
so you
that-
couldn't
okay,
approve
that-
it yet. If you say verbatim what was put in there, and everybody agrees to that, then you could approve the minutes now as amended.
Okay. That sounds very reasonable. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to that effect?
You better make it.
I can't, I'm the chair.
Okay, I move that we, I think this is what I'm supposed to do, approve the minutes as presented, and we will be getting verbatim amendment to them. Is that right, George? Is that what you were?
Well, as amended, the proposal is
As
these minutes
amended.
plus the verbatim transcript of
It has to be verbatim to approve today.
Transcript of
Yes,
Mr. Foley's
verbatim
comments.
transcript of Mr. Foley's comments related to Farm Bureau and Mr. Kramer.
And I'll second that.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, please signify by
Tom.
saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Anybody opposed?
Who seconded it?
Tom?
Tom?
Oh,
I seconded it, yeah.
Are you opposed to that, Mr. Foley?
No.
Okay, I thought somebody said aye on the nays.
No,
We
I
were
was
trying to
looking
answer her
at, see, I was trying to figure out what she was trying to say. I was trying to get,
Everybody said aye.
everybody said aye.
Unanimous.
I ordered pizza.
I'm putting them up there so I don't take them home, Nancy. Okay, we do have one more item of business.
Where I put them too.
It seems that the November meeting that is scheduled is on November the 11th, which is Veterans Day, which is a county holiday. We have a couple of options. We can meet the week before, which is the day after Election Day, November 4th.
Oh, that'll be a good day.
I can,
Or we can meet on, you can't meet on the 4th?
no, because I'm the canvassing board attorney, and my expectation is we will be busy several days.
I have a feeling you will be busy several days. Okay, then our other options are to meet on November the 8th. No,
Long enough after that.
November the
It
10th,
says the 10th in the minutes.
the 10th, which is,
November 8th to be a Sunday.
yeah, November 10th. Is that not a Board of County Commissioners meeting?
Yes.
We probably don't want to meet that same day, do we? Because they may have a workshop.
we don't have many more days of option. I mean, everything's pretty much either taken up by another or,
What about what about the 12th?
There are workshops up there, that's not in here.
But it's in the morning too, the county
The
commission.
commission meetings are here at 8:30.
Yeah, they're,
Morning.
But then if they have a workshop, it's in here at 2 o'clock.
They usually have the workshops.
conference room.
Are they in the conference room?
are in here.
Sometimes they could,
Well, wait a minute, who said workshops are in here?
Our controller.
they've
I can tell, the workshops are in here, aren't they?
are in here. Yep.
That's what I thought.
every
You were
workshop
right.
I went to's up there.
They want
Well,
everything.
they've been doing them in here lately, so,
the 12th is taken up by the contractor's licensing board of 5.
okay. So,
If you want to meet on Friday.
No,
Friday
that
afternoon?
would be a true statement.
What's our caseload looking like for November, Mike?
have 1, 2, 3, I believe 3 cases, maybe 4,
That's awesome.
but I know we have at least 3.
That Loverly.
That's awesome.
I like it, I mean,
Glad
these
to see
things are
something
happening.
going on.
What about November 3rd?
Election night?
Which is a.
No, that's election night.
And
George can't be there.
Well, even if I could get another attorney here, it is very possible that this entire area may have to be used for other purposes. It's just a possibility, but
Yeah, this whole area is going to be tied up for a few days,
How about the second?
day before Election Day,
What day is that?
Monday.
It's on a Monday.
I haven't checked the calendar for the county commission for any other specific dates other than the two that I knew that were available. I don't know about Monday, the 2nd.
All right,
canvassing board's meeting, but I can't tell you if they'll be over here, spilling over to here or not.
George, you can't be here on the 4th, and you think the canvassing board will be in here on the 4th possibly?
What time are we talking about on the 4th?
4 o'clock?
You could make it earlier in the day.
Well, that's the day after the election.
That may be a hectic
Well,
day for everybody.
even if I am tied up with the canvassing board, I can have Russ step in. I can get somebody to step in.
You
So
think
don't-
this room will be available?
Not if we're in a recount, it won't.
But this will be
my
before the election. It won't be a recount.
No, this is the
We're talking the
4th.
day after.
Day after. Day after.
Yeah.
We probably would not,
Imagine.
well, no, we could very well be. That's my only concern, because if, our problem right now is with the COVID requirements and everybody's fears and the amount of attorneys and people that show up to watch a recount, there may not be sufficient room where we're set up now. So there's a possibility it might have to be moved into a space like this so that the public, all the attorneys that they bring, all the representatives can view what's going on. I'm not saying that's gonna happen, I'm saying we're planning for it, though.
Unless it's your
I
landslide.
think you have to.
But you have
And you
to
gotta
plan for that.
understand, a recount's usually not driven by a local election. It's a statewide election
Right.
issue or a countrywide election
National,
issue.
yeah.
Yeah, national.
Yep.
I'll tell you, the
2000.
attorneys are already showing up.
Really?
They're in my audience, yeah, our audience, so.
Oh, yeah.
It's that time of the year.
2020 is going to be remembered as the craziest year ever was. So,
How about the end of this month? I mean, can we get all the information back
could we meet the last week of October?
that last day of October?
Can you be ready, Mike?
No, well, I'm taking my first week-long vacation in 2 years, the last week of October.
So what national park are you visiting this year?
Actually going out for my dad's 90th birthday.
Oh,
Awesome,
wow.
wow.
All right, I'm looking at my calendar now.
Was that Monday ruled out the second?
Yeah, that's a question we've got.
We don't know if the room's available. Maybe Nancy could look at room availability and,
What's that?
could you look at room availability and
Give us some dates.
and do an email out tomorrow?
We're gonna have to, because there were so many things on the calendar, of course, I don't remember what they were. If you can't make a date out of those two,
I would touch base with Supervisor of Elections, because I doubt they put their name on any calendar. I think they were doing the same thing, trying to
Assuming?
talk to people and figure out how to do this, but reality is, they're gonna trump most things.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. How long do you think that process might take, depending on how many ballots come in, right?
It just depends on what happens. If there's no recount, we probably won't even have anything the day after. The 4th would be a fine day.
Right, but we don't know that.
If there is a recount, then it'll probably start sometime that day,
It'll take 4 or 5 days.
at least. Depending on the number of ballots and whether or not they get the second high-speed scanner in. That could reduce it, the time in half.
We don't have a high-speed scanner yet.
What happened?
We have one.
We have one.
What about the week that we're supposed to do it? That
That's-
Tuesday or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, didn't work for anybody?
Thursday, I think there was something in here. Tuesday, it's Board of County Commissioners.
What about that Monday?
The 9th,
Yeah.
it's closer to Election Day if there's a recount.
There's nothing scheduled right now, canvassing boards, or they're not anticipating. We can always adjust it if they're, if it's that bad, and we're still in here on the 9th counting.
Yeah.
You're going to have less hair than you have now.
I say we do the
It was
9th.
bad.
If the
Okay.
room's available, she'll check and see if the room's available on the
Yeah.
9th.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
You don't think they're gonna recount 3 times?
I don't think there's gonna have to be a recount.
I don't think it's gonna be.
That's just my feeling. I'm right.
I think you're right as
That's
far
Florida's
as,
For the state of Florida anyway, I
I
don't think.
think you're right on the day of the election,
Yeah.
but
Not the 9th.
they're saying they're gonna count votes in some of these places for 2 weeks afterwards.
But they're not doing that in Florida.
I don't think so, not
No.
yet.
No, they're not.
State law.
Well, Mike needs to know, because he's got to put signs out for, if we're going to have a zoning,
Right.
change some zonings and stuff, he's got to put them out like 10
Let's
days
do
before.
the 9th. Is that going to work for you, Mike?
What,
The 9th,
the 9th of November?
if the room is available?
Yeah, that would work. I can make that work.
Okay, if the room is available, let's do the 9th.
Monday the 9th.
Yep, and the 12th is out. You looked at that already?
Ooh,
The 12th.
9th doesn't work for me, but I'll break a meeting.
The 12th would be the Thursday, and that is at 5 o'clock. The
Contractors.
contractor's last name before it passed the room.
But we rarely go past 30 minutes in those meetings.
I know, but what I was gonna say is maybe, and of course you're taking a long shot, at a different time,
Instead of 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock?
6 o'clock. We're gonna have to have whoever,
Yeah?
the cases we have come at any
And if we're
time
gonna have,
anyway.
if we're gonna have 4 of them, that's gonna, any of them hard?
Who knows?
I don't believe so. One will take longer than the others because it's a PUD. And so those just take a little longer.
Are we doing San Mateo, East End Road?
Yeah, the Rebel Solar Facility is coming forward on then, and then there's a land use change and a rezoning.
Oh, is paired, the land use and rezoning?
Yeah, it's the Williams property up on 17, that's a PUD and industrial, and they want to go back to ag. So I don't think that'll be very controversial,
Okay.
both of those.
That
Did
should be
anybody check
easy.
to see if we even have anything for the contractors board this month? For November?
We're looking at the calendar right now, Mary's able to pull it up, and the 9th is, that doesn't look like there's anything on.
You want to just be safe and go with 4 o'clock on the 9th?
Yeah.
Everybody okay with that? Joel, is that going to be a problem for you?
We have our little community meeting, but I'll just don't go to it. It's,
Is that the Boston?
yeah.
That's a Monday, right?
Got your blueberry meeting.
Well, it's not a blueberry meeting, but that's,
Hey, how come I don't get invited to this?
We didn't hear you.
You're gonna have,
what'd you say?
So I live in Bostwick. I never knew about the community meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'd love for you
What
to
you need is
come.
more meetings, George.
No, you can't.
Exactly. Yeah, Julie will love me for that one.
I'll let you know.
All right, I've changed it on my calendar.
I changed it on mine too.
All right, we're good. All right. One thing, addition that I would like to request from Mike, and this is something we really need to get, is your written notes from the meeting that you had with Mr. Kramer's group. I know you discussed them with the board, but we never got anything in writing, and those need to be a part of the record. So please have those for us by the next meeting. Is there anything else that we need to do, Nancy?
Adjourn.
Amen.
Got that right.
Everybody okay with adjourning?
Yes.
Make a motion.
Boy, I hit that hard. We are adjourned. Ah.